my quick and dirty edit videos. This one's about dealing with contrast or high contrast situations when you want to kind of recover an image which you really thought you'd hit right, but when you get back to the screen it looks like this. It's the highlights seem to be exposed just lovely, but the shadows of course are completely, almost completely lost. And what you want to do is you want to get into this image properly so that you can bring out a lot of this shadow, bring out the detail within it, and actually have it finish off looking like it looked when you took the image, right? So how I would very quickly edit this photo, and again this is just a quick edit, so I could spend a lot longer doing it, a lot better, but you'll learn enough from this. The first thing that I'm going to do, and some people will leave this to last, but I'm going to do it now, is it's bothering me because it's not quite straight. So I'm just going to adjust it because I'm using the line of the bridge you can just see in the background there, okay, just to make sure it's a bit straighter, and that helps me a great deal. Now, as far as dealing with this particularly difficult image, which is, as I said, lost a lot of detail in those shadows, I can see from my histogram here that it's been exposed all the way over there, because what I did at the time was I was making sure from my viewfinder that I had this sort of area here with this grass and these leaves not blown out. So I've sacrificed a lot of detail for that. However, the camera's not got too bad dynamic range, so what we can do to start with is we can actually just adjust the exposure. Remember, we're trying to recover something here we don't want to lose, till we get to a point where we're not quite clipping, okay? So already, as you can see, we brought out some detail in these areas. But there's another little trick to do a contrast, which I'll show you in a moment, which can help that even further. But as I'm playing with this image, it also looks a lot colder. You can see a lot of blue in this shadow area because things just haven't worked out right, perhaps with the auto white balance. So I'm just going to warm that up, and I'm going to bring it closer to how it really looked at the day. Now we're already getting there. We're already getting close to how things looked when I actually saw this particular image, because bear in mind my eyes have a much broader dynamic range than my camera, so my eyes could see all of this detail but the camera can't grab it. But what was the real catch point about this photograph for me wasn't so much the tree and the arching effect and the reflected arch in the actual bridge itself, which many people would say were part of the main topics of this image. For me, it was this huge swarm here on the water of these hatchling flies that are coming out of this trout stream. And for me, when they were backlit, they looked extraordinarily beautiful while I was about to create the image. And I really want to make use of that because that really is an integral part of the image. So what I'll do very quickly, and you've got to be careful with this, you don't want to go over the top. Select the clarity in your brush tools. Okay, leave it at 100% for now, but I'm just going to make my brush a bit smaller. I'm just going to paint around that area just to bring, can you see that? Bring those bugs out, because they really were an integral part of this image and I don't want to lose that. And then I can just back it off because it is too much and crunchy until it's somewhere between how I wanted it but not too much. And if I just switch that on and off, you can see, okay, it's not too much but it's just enough to emphasize, so it's really a contrast thing. And that looks a lot better than it did to start with. Then I would go back to my original panel, and I would do something I would normally do earlier in the image and just adjust my blacks and whites. So hold down Alt on a Mac, drag the whites up. They're already going to clip very, very quickly because they're already that well exposed. Okay, and the same with the blacks, hang on to that, drag that back, same sort of thing. Just so I get that proper balance. But still, we've got a lot of dark areas in the tree trunk here, in particular, and in areas of this bridge here, and it still doesn't look right to me. It looks too contrasty. It looks almost, you know, like we've got, I don't really know where my eye wants to fall. I want to see more in this image. I want to pull more detail out. Now this is the trick. Most people, unless they're very, very well versed with editing, particularly some landscapes, almost always dive onto the contrast slider, which is a holistic one, so it does the whole of the image, and they'll almost always push it to the right because everybody thinks contrast is great, right? But watch if we pull it all the way to the left. Wow, yeah, it looks a little softer, but that's just an effect. But we started to pull detail out of here, and we started to pull detail out of these areas here, and this really is now beginning to look like as I actually saw this situation, because I could see all of that, and it had this sort of glow, it had this sort of ethereal feel to it. You know, it wasn't clear and sharp. It was all about the lovely glow from the tree and the glow from these insects. So once we've got there, we can just do a little bit more fiddling with such things as the warmth. Okay, bring the temperature up. I'm just going to drop the highlights down because at the moment I'm at risk of really overblowing this area here on this grass. Just bring those down a little bit. Just to taste, really. And then the final thing I would do is I go into the HSL area, and I'm looking for, hold on a second, what have we got? I think it's all I want. Yes, it is. Is it all? No. Saturation. Ah, there we go. And so I can come in and I can play with different colours, and I would just want to take the luminance of the yellows down a little bit, because for me it's a little bit strong. Just have a play with that. Again, it's all about just playing and tweaking to taste. There's no wrong or rights here. Look at the oranges at the bottom being affected. Just tone that down a little bit. And then just to finish off, apply a little bit of clarity across the whole image, just to give it a little bit more pop. So there you go. So I've taken an image which really was quite dark, which really seemed to lack detail, and by applying some magic, if you like, with contrast, rather than pushing it all the way to the right, I've gone the opposite way, and it gives that hazy sort of glow that you really do experience when you look at a scene like that. Bear in mind that sun is behind that tree, it's up to the top right, and it's backlighting that tree, and that's the effect that we actually want to give and show, because that's what we saw. That's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned a little bit from it. Thanks for another quick and dirty edit. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.